Welcome to this video exploring Power BI reports in Microsoft Dynamics NAV 2017. In this session we will look at setting up this new feature within NAV 2017. We'll also make use of the content pack from Microsoft to explore some of this functionality.
So hi, alright, we're going to show you how to set up the new Power BI feature in NAV 2017 and how to embed your Power BI reports on the NAV 2017 pages. Right, so let's get started. The first step involved is to make sure that you have a Power BI account. So if you've already got one, you can sign in. If you haven't, you can go in and register. We already have one, so we're going to sign in. Okay, so here we've set up a free Power BI account with the Power BI online service, and we've used the Microsoft Dynamics content pack to connect to our NAV instance. So here are your standard reports which come with the content pack. Okay, so you can see there's a number of reports that are available to you. Obviously you can design your own and so on. And what we're going to show is how you can embed these reports into NAV 2017.
Does that mean they'll then become available within my role centre?
That's right. Okay, right, so the next step here now, what we need to do is we need to set up NAV 2017 with a connection to your Office 365 instance. So step one, ensure that you have registered your Office 365 account with Power BI service. If not, then log in to app.powerbi.com and sign up, which we've shown you. Okay, so I have signed up and I've logged in, and what I've done here is I've created a new report by connecting to the Microsoft NAV content pack for 2016 and 2017, which gives you a number of standard reports which you can embed into your NAV instance.
And that content pack is also free?
It is free, yes, absolutely. So before you can use that content pack, you need to ensure that you've got your NAV instance set up correctly, that all the queries that are used by the content pack are working and functioning. And you can do that test by using your development environment and run those queries to make sure that they are working. Then you can go and connect to your content pack.
Right.
Okay. Now we won't go through the whole steps of connecting to the content pack, because this whole session here is about how to embed those reports into NAV 2017.
There will be another video on the content pack?
Yes, there will be. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is we need to create an app in Azure, which we can then register in NAV 2017 to give you the ability to connect with your Power BI service from 2017. Step 2 of this is to log into portal.azure.com to create an app registration. To be able to do this, you need admin rights on your Office 365 instance. To create a new app registration, you need to go down this list here, click on More Services. Here, if you start typing app reg, you should find that the first item here is app registration.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to add a new app for our NAV 2017 instance. So click on Add. Give it a relevant name. We're going to give it NAV Demo 2017. Okay, at this point, let's leave this as it is there. We're going to now log into our Windows NAV client. We're going to start the assisted setup for Azure AD. So if you type in assisted setup, select assisted setup there.
So this is a new feature within the new version NAV.
That's right, that's right. So there's a lot of things that you can set up here, but what we're working on today is setting up the Azure Active Directory. Now you can see from this, it says completed. That's because I've already ran through this once, but we're going to show you how to do this again. So assume that this is not completed. If you double click on that, say yes at that point if you've already ran through it once. Have a read of the instructions here. Okay, and then click next. Okay, so at this point you can see that the app ID is set to basically nothing, and we don't have a key here. And your home page and your reply URL is set according to your settings for that instance. Now this is something that you need to be quite aware of. If your reply URL and your home page here is not correct, your setup will not work. Now if you read other documents, they don't quite state this, because often when you set up your nav instance, your web URL is often blank. So if I just take you to the nav administration tool, okay, so if we go down to the client services settings here, okay, you can see that that tool there that has been highlighted, your web client based URL here has been entered. Often by default, when you set up your first instance, that is not always populated. If that's not populated, then this whole process won't work. Okay, so you need to make sure that you check that your web client based URL has been entered correctly, and that URL should in theory be your external URL that you're going to be using. Okay, not the internal address, but the external address. Okay, so if you find that this is blank, go ahead and enter the correct URL here and make sure you restart your service. Once you've done that, you'll find that when you run the assisted setup here, you should have the correct URL.
Oh, okay. So it'll complete it for me?
Absolutely. Okay. So now the next part, what we want to do is we want to actually go and get our application ID and our key from our app that we're going to register up in Azure.
Right.
Okay.
So they don't yet exist. We're going to create the app, but we'll create the ID and the key. That's
right. So let's go back to Azure. Okay. So we've entered the app name. For the app type, select the web app API if we're using the web client, or native if you're using RTC. For this demo here, we're going to be using the web client. So we've selected web app API. Okay.
Does that mean I'd need to do two of these if I wanted it available in both?
So not necessarily, because once you've set up the assisted setup, it will use this app, and you can run those reports from the Windows client and from the web client.
Great.
Okay. Right, so the next thing here is to enter the sign-on URL. So in the sign-on URL field, you need to enter the URL of your OAuth landing.html page of your Dynamics NAV web client. To get this URL, you need to actually go back to your to your Windows client here. So you can get your reply URL from your assisted setup for Azure AD, and you can see that your reply URL is here. Okay, so if you copy that, you can then go back to your Azure app and you can paste the URL in here.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so we can paste in our sign-on URL here. Okay, I'm going to paste that in there. And we're going to say, click on create.
Great. So our list now shows a fourth app ready for use.
Absolutely. So if we click on that new app, the next thing we want to do is we want to give permissions for this app. So if we click on the required permissions here and click on add, we want to select an API first. So we want to select the permissions to the Power BI service. Select the Power BI service and click on select. We want to now select all the permissions for the Power BI service. So if you actually select all of them there, and actually what I found that sometimes this doesn't actually work the way we want it. So if we just uncheck that for a second and select these manually.
So these are the standard permissions that it needs to operate correctly?
Yeah, so this will enable you, it gives you the relevant permissions that you need required to the Power BI service.
Right.
Okay, so we've selected all of them and then click on select. Okay, then click on done. Okay, so what you will see is here for the Power BI service you have 10 delegated permissions.
Right. Okay.
Okay, just to double check, I'm going to click on that and you can see that all the permissions have been selected.
And none of them require admin status,
No,
so
no.
myself as a normal user will be able to utilise this service.
Absolutely. So the next thing we need to do is we need to create a key. Okay, this is like a secret key that we can use every time you authenticate with the Azure app. So click on key, enter a name for the key. So I'm going to enter nav demo 2017 key or something like that, whatever you want. You can select the expiration duration here, so you can have it for 1 year, in which case after 1 year this key will expire and then you need to recreate a new key, or you can select never expires or whatever. Let's just have 1 year for now. Okay, at this point if you click on save, the value for the key will be generated for you. So we're going to click save. So you can see you've got the value for the key. Now at this point you must take a copy of this key, because once you navigate away from this screen, this particular window, you will not be able to see that key again. Okay,
Right.
So the idea is to take a copy of the key and paste it into Notepad or something like that. So let's open up Notepad. Okay, so we have a copy of the key.
Will you need to have that for future use after you've set this up, or is it only needed for this first bit?
You only need this key for your assisted setup in Nav.
Right.
Okay. Now, if you mess up your setup and you think, I want to try it again, then you're going to need this key. If you don't have this key, you can always go back into your app and you can regenerate a new. Okay, so we've created the key. Now, what we want to do is we want to actually get the app ID, which is the other field that's required here, the application ID.
Yep.
So if we go back to Azure, okay. We've done this, that's fine. So now if we go back and look at properties, okay, we've got the app ID there. All right, so you can take a copy from there and also paste that into Notepad. Okay, now so we've got the two elements that we require for this app, the app ID and the key. Okay, so we've basically done here. Okay.
Cool.
So let's just go back and have a look at our app registrations. We've got app registration here. We've got the relevant permissions. This automatically enters your homepage URL there. You've also got your reply URL there. You can see that as well. Okay. So this app is now set up. Okay. So we're done with this bit. We can close.
Is it saved already, or do we?
That's already saved.
Okay.
Okay, right. So let's go back to our assisted setup. Now we take our app ID and we paste it in the app ID page here. Okay. And we take our key and we paste the key in here. Okay. So then you need to click next. That's it. So, and click finish. So now we're finished and we've completed our Azure AD setup. Okay, so at that point you will see that your Azure AD Active Directory setup has been completed. So now the next step is to enable the Power BI reports for a user. Okay.
So this is still as an administrator level
No,
we're working at?
No, because now what we've done is we've done the admin part.
Right.
Okay, and with the admin part, all you need to do is set up the Azure Active Directory to connect to the app that you've registered in Azure. Okay, and that basically gives you the permissions to use the Power BI service.
Right.
Okay, right. So the next step is for the user to enable the reports that the user wants to see in Nav. All right. So let's go now. If we go back to the home page here, you will see under the sales order processor, by default, you see the Power BI reports part there. Okay.
If they don't see the parts, then we can just go to customize this page and add it in.
Yes, that's right. So the next step is for the user to go ahead and authorize the Power BI app that you have just set up. Okay, the user goes to the sales order processor or whichever page where the Power BI report part has been enabled on the page, and all they need to do is click on Get Started with Power BI. So if we click on Get Started with Power BI, the first thing it will do, if you've never done this before, they will be presented with this window. The user needs to authorize the Azure services. Okay, so every user has to do this once. Once this is done, then the user can enable the reports.
Right.
Okay, so if we click on Authorize Service, okay, at this point the user will log in with their Power BI account. We are going to log in as our user.
So they need to have already created, like we said at the very start, a Power BI account.
Absolutely. So now we're going to log in with that Power BI account. Sign in. Okay, so what happens at this page, if you have logged in with the correct account and the password's all correct and everything else, it should automatically close this window, but if it doesn't, it asks you, is it okay to close it? Say yes, and you come back to here and you can see the authorization was successful. Click OK and you can close it at that point. Okay. Right, so now you can see that the Get Started has disappeared. Okay, so now that we've authorized the Power BI service, we want to go and select the reports. Okay, so if you click on Select Reports, you can see there's a number of reports there. Now, those reports are the reports that have been published for your Power BI account. All right, we are going to go back to our Power BI account. Okay, and you can see these are the reports that it is referring to. Now, all these reports, the reports that you see here are the reports that you've published. Okay, they could be part of a content pack. In this instance here, this particular report here is being created using the Microsoft content pack for NAV 2016 or 2017. Okay, now the NAV content pack, you've obviously, first of all, you need to go off and create these reports using the content pack. Now, there's a number of ways that these reports can be made available to you. So one particular person, an administrator or a super user or whoever, can go off and connect to the content pack for a company instance or something like that, and then publish that report to be available to other users in the company.
So each user wouldn't need to do it individually.
No.
They can just use what somebody else has said at once.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Okay, so
And there will be a video in this sequence demonstrating how to
yeah,
set it up.
what we'll do is we'll create another video to show you how to connect to the Dynamics NAV content pack.
Perfect.
Right, so if we go back to our selection here, we're going to select the reports which are created using this content pack. Right, so you can see at the moment we can't click anything here. If you click on Edit List and then select the reports that you want and click OK.
So we've now enabled the content pack report.
Absolutely. Okay, so if we just go back to here, you can see within this report there's a number of pages. Okay, you can see here it's a number of pages. These pages are all part of this one report, and you will be able to see all these pages in your in NAV now. Okay, so if we go back here now, you'll see at the moment you can't seem to see anything. The reason being is because your other parts here are taking up most of the space. So if you minimize these, you can start to see your reports. There we go. So you can see your report here. Now that is probably the first page on your report here. So if we go back here, you can see that's the item and profit page. That's your first page in that report. Okay. Now if you go back to NAV, if you click on next report, there is no other report. You've only selected one report at the moment. All right. So if we were to go back if we go back here, select reports. Okay. Now let's select. This is a CRM content pack, but let's select that just so that we can show you how it moves between reports. So let's select that.
So you can enable more than one.
Yeah, you can as many as you want. Okay. So clicking on next report actually views that you will view the first page in your next report.
Right.
Okay. Some people might think you're by clicking on next report you're going through the pages of your existing report. That is not the case. All right.
So this is now the CRM.
This is the CRM
content.
Okay. So for this purpose, let's go previous report. We're looking at the NAV content pack here. For now, let's just deselect our CRM report because we don't want CRM in our NAV instance here. So let's go back to select reports. So we're going to uncheck that. We don't need that actually. Click on edit list, uncheck that and click OK.
So we've now just got the NAV content pack report displayed.
Absolutely, right. So to view all the pages on this report, if you click on expand report, okay, so you can see all your pages.
Okay.
And so on. Okay. Now, obviously, if you didn't want that whole effect where you've got lots of pages on up, just create a report with a single page and you will see that. Okay, and just as you can do in Power BI, you can filter this report, you can play with it in the same way. Yeah.
So for the end user, you've got the same functionality to really drill down and explore your data.
Absolutely.
But put in front of you within NAV.
Yes. It just makes sense to have everything in one place.
Absolutely.
Okay. So that is Power BI embedding in NAV 2017.
Thank you.
Pleasure.